So you want to build a six-figure expert brand, but there's a lot of bad information out there about what actually makes that happen. In this session, we want to give you a clear understanding of how to streamline your brand's revenue engine so you can focus on the right numbers, implement the right system, and scale with confidence. Let's dive in. Robbie, how are you doing today, man? Good to see you.
Doing great. We were just talking before. I think we're going to catch a few people off guard.
Yeah. This has been a mindset shift for me. We recently took a survey of members in our You Are the Brand Academy, which is a program designed for solopreneurs, including coaches, consultants, speakers, freelancers, anyone who is in the service industry and they are the business. And we asked them some questions over the last couple of months. And we found that out of thousands of prospects, 92%, this was very surprising, 92% said that they were not collecting leads on a daily basis. What went through your mind when you saw that?
I It's kind of both shocking because that's a pretty big stat. But then after that initial number, kind of settled, I was like, I'm not that surprised though. I mean, this is a very common problem. It's why so many businesses out there are set up around the idea of, look, we'll help you get leads.
I was definitely surprised. However, I do think it's tied to content creation or the lack thereof. I have quote unquote leads every day that come into my business, but I podcast a lot, I blog, I'm active on social media, but I also run paid ads and I'm constantly trying to be featured on other people's podcasts that get us more leads. Dude, I can tell you this, there hasn't been a single day of life on earth since I started my podcast that I have 0 listens of my podcast on a particular day.
Mhm.
Someone is always listening to my podcast every single day. And we don't have a huge YouTube channel or anything, but if you check the metrics, somebody is watching us on YouTube every single day. That's why at the end of the day, you and I can go to bed
Mhm.
and sleep at night. We're doing the active things like reaching out to potential promoters and partnering, but we're also doing the passive things, the things that are passively going to generate leads, things that are creating passive impact, both for our potential clients and for the business. If you take the content creation piece out of it, then of course my lead flow would go down. Where am I supposed to meet people? Where are people supposed to meet me? So I see a direct correlation between the number of leads and how often you're getting them versus your content creation or lead generation, in this case, we would call it. However, all of us have to take into consideration that a lot of times people just want leads, but they don't have an offer. Robbie, you help a lot of people clarify and create their offers. What are you seeing in this market here, in this demographic, in this?
I think, we can think of this as maybe like the foundation fallacy that, oh, the foundation I need is just to start cranking out a bunch of marketing content. And then people will like tell me what they want or they'll want to hire me. And again, if that's you, don't feel bad because there are so many companies out there marketing that to you. So it would make sense that you assume or think, oh, I guess I'm supposed to just be everywhere on all these platforms, churning out content that makes people hire me or want to hire me. But the fallacy is you're not super clear on what you want people to pay you for. Certainly not to the standpoint that you can articulate that in a compelling offer. We've done that in our program, like put them in breakout rooms, no warning, and just said, "Hey, pitch your offer." And everybody's like, you could just see the panic on the Zoom call, or everybody's like, "Wait, I didn't know we were doing this today," or whatever. So yeah, it's really important that you take that initial step to articulate that offer because that's then what you work backwards from for your lead generation.
One of the most helpful pieces of advice that people have shared that we've given them is to take your highest priced offer, whatever that is, whatever that fee or price is, and add a zero to it. Because it breaks through the glass ceiling that you've created over your head in terms of what's possible. When we talk about the simple math behind a six-figure expert brand, the easiest math there is to say, I charge one client $100,000. And I've done that in the past.
Mm.
If you actually came out of a corporate job where you were making that kind of money or more, just change your perspective and look at your job as if it were a client, and it will elevate the way that you look at yourself and the value of your offer. So, a lot of people, when they hear that piece of advice, they say this: "What in the world do you do for $100,000 a year?" That is very telling. That's where you unpack the offer. What are the actual things that you'll do and how do you communicate that? So, I think if we keep the math super simple, you can sign one client for $100,000, work backwards from there. You can do 10 clients for $10,000 a year, and on you go. When I'm involved in running paid ads, I actually tell clients, if you don't have a signature core offer, running ads is kind of a waste of time. You're just driving people to your social media, to your website, but what action do you want them to take there? There's a story of one of our You Are the Brand Academy members. Can you share a little bit about that story?
Yeah, so we've had several folks that even as they started to put their offer together, one of the gals I'm thinking of came from a corporate, background, very good at sales. In her corporate gig, somebody handed her an offer, right? And her job is just to go crush it in sales. Now she has to come up with the thing that she's got to talk about. So that's what we did. I mean, we finished the offer within the week. She had two conversations with folks that, yeah, if she lands them, and I'm pretty confident she can because she's really good at sales, she's easily at her 10K or higher right out of the bat. And we're not talking any sort of sales page to go with this or fancy marketing funnel, just a clearly articulated offer. And then, like most of us, she has friends and people she can talk to now that she knows what to say. And so that's the power of an offer.
Yeah. When we work with somebody who's at that stage, they have clear expertise, they have clear experience, but they don't have all the marketing pieces. They don't have a website. Their LinkedIn isn't fleshed out yet. They aren't creating content. You don't need to wait for those things to be built in order to go to the market if you have a great offer. One of the things that we advise people to do to generate some motion around their business and landing their first handful of clients is go out and reach out to your current network, friends, colleagues, past and present. Offer them an hour of your time that they can gift to someone else. Hey, Robby, here's an hour of my time. I'm not asking Robby to take up that hour of my time. I'm asking him to gift that hour to someone else that he knows that would be a potential good fit. Robby looks great because, hey, Mike knows what he's talking about on some things. I'm going to look great for gifting you an hour of his time. It's free. And there might be a connection that way. So that's just what we tell our students. If you don't have all this marketing stuff built out yet, and that's partially why they joined us in the academy because they haven't built it out yet, you don't have to wait months to get that stuff up and running. You can go to the market with confidence if you know what your offer is. So in that scenario, Robby, what were the next steps, right? We kind of designed backwards from that offer, doing outreaches. We teach reach outs all through the academy. What came next in that scenario?
Yeah. So as you think about once you have this offer in place, I could bounce the question back to you. I've created lots of lead magnets. If I came to you and said, "Hey, Mike, I want you to create me a lead magnet," you have a set of questions you would ask me, not just, well, what kind of lead magnet, but like your foundational question is, okay, what do you want the lead magnet to do for you and your business? Right. And essentially you're asking how do you want it to help you make money and generate leads? So that's why the offer piece is important because we want to now design back from that offer. Again, what is it supposed to lead to? You could make dozens of different kinds of lead magnets that convert well but aren't connected to your offer. So they're never going to bring you revenue because you're just confusing the audience. You ask, you put a lead generation quiz out there about like course creation, but you do one-on-one life coaching. Well, so even if that lead magnet converts at 85%, like off the charts crazy, you're not going to get a sale out of that because you've got to build the lead magnet backwards from the offer.
An easy way to put that is, where are you leading the lead? When someone reaches out to us and says, "Hey, we want to create a lead magnet," I can't do that in a bubble. If you don't tell me where this is supposed to eventually lead to, I have a lot of trouble creating that lead magnet.
Yeah.
People end up doing is they mistake activity for progress.
Mm.
They're just, I'm creating content, I'm putting stuff out there, I'm commenting on other people's social posts, et cetera, et cetera. But where are you ultimately leading them? If you know that's the destination, then you can work backwards, beginning with the end in mind. I recently saw this on a private client of mine on the agency side. It is a cosmetology school. Obviously, their offer is singular: apply and enroll in our school. Now, this is a big decision. It's somewhere between 18 and $25,000 to get your cosmetology license
Yeah.
through, and that's pretty market rate here. And we created a lead magnet, and this is, I always tell people, I don't want to be right, I want to get it right. We're all learning and tracking as we're going along. We created a lead magnet, top 10 trends in cosmetology. In my mind, we're like, okay, this is good. This is showcasing the expertise of our client, the founder of the school, his staff. They're up to date on trends. And it bombed, dude. Just bombed. People weren't even opting in. Now, here's what's quirky about this situation. We created a video reel, like an Instagram reel, 90-second vertical video showcasing the inner workings of the school. B-roll clips of students, of instructors working together. You see the venue. That reel is killing it. People are watching, like 92%, we just checked the stats, of people who see the reel watch more than 30 seconds. That's crazy. That's
Mhm.
a great video reel. But where our plan fell short was we weren't leading them to a clear next step, or that clear next step was wrong. They watched the video about potentially learning about this beauty school, and now I have a lead magnet about trends in beauty. I got to swap that out. The data is telling me this is bombing. We need to give them content around how to choose a great beauty school, or cosmetology school, or aesthetics, or how to know which path to take, cosmetology or aesthetics, or based on their positioning. Why a smaller school with more focused attention on each individual student is better than going to, let's say, Paul Mitchell and being churned through the machine. So I bombed on the lead,
Yeah.
but I know why I bombed. It's not that I'm a bad marketer. It's just that, like, this video reel is killing it. That second next step isn't aligned with the offer. And the clients are like, hey, we're not getting people applying to the school. And I'm like, all right, I made this too rocky of a path. So I'm just sharing that
Mhm.
from my experience. We're getting great views and exposure. A lot of people are seeing our virtual billboard, but they're not being led to a logical next step, which then leads to potentially booking an open house tour and even enrolling in the
Yeah.
school.
That reminds me. So if I've shared this story before, we'll just cut it from the episode because I use it a lot because it is so helpful in my mind. So it actually comes from church world background. And it's a leader at a large church, that has lots of visitors and guests every week. They want to get people from kind of the front door into the living room where they feel comfortable. And so he's in a big staff meeting, takes construction paper, puts one on one side of the large room and one on the other side, and says, okay, this represents the step that we're asking a guest to take. What's wrong with this? And everybody observes, what's way too big of a leap. There's no way somebody can go from that side all the way over that side. Great. Then he takes the rest of the paper and just literally chucks it in the air. So now there's paper everywhere. And he says, okay, we've solved the first problem. Now what's the problem? Well, what path I'm supposed to take is completely unclear. I have no idea. The steps are small, but I don't know where this is going. And I find both of those really helpful when you think about, I've got this offer now. I need a lead generator. Um, if your offer is big, like a high ticket offer, it's likely that like a PDF or a quiz You're not going to go from, I just took a quiz. Now I'm going to pay you $75,000 for a 12-month engagement, right? Like, we're going to need some steps through there. But the second part of that is there a very clear connection for your lead, like you said, that knows exactly where this is leading? It feels very natural to go from the lead magnet to the thing that you want to help them with inside of your office.
That's such a powerful analogy. I get confused when I go to like a museum or a park and there's just grass and you're like, am I allowed to walk
Right.
on this?
Yes. Right.
Those of you who play golf, it's like, and you drive around a golf cart. Am I
Mhm.
allowed to drive on the
Ah,
fairway here? Like there's a clear cart path, but,
right.
and then they'll say, don't drive on this part. So it's not just like, well, yeah, but there's so many ways that you can work with me, but it's which way do I go? We need clarity there. When I look at the conversion metrics, we mentioned a couple of them here. In that scenario with my client, the video reel ad is working great. We're looking not at how many views that video got, we're looking at how long people are watching it. So there's nothing wrong with that video reel. We're keeping that. I've got to change step two, where we are targeting people who've watched that ad with, let's say, a 5 minute or 10-minute walkthrough video or explainer video of the school. I'm not sure that beauty school students are going to watch an hour-long webinar. But if we had a virtual tour of this school for 5 or 10 minutes and you're meeting the founder and you're meeting the head of staff and you're getting some testimonials from prior students, that would be a logical next step. Here's why I chose this school. Come to our virtual open house or come visit the school, book a time and apply. So each step has different metrics that matter. One thing I would say here is that when we talk about these kind of numbers, like landing a six-figure client or landing $10,000 clients or a hundred $1,000 client, right? Like on and on it goes. One of the mental blocks that I really want to encourage you in is you can't worry about accuracy. There's this mindset that I've seen a lot of our students and members, that like focus and fixate on. It's like, I made one pitch and I've got to land that one pitch and I'm batting 1,000. I have 100% close rate. You can't think like that in this line of work.
Hmm.
You have to go higher volume than you might think you need because the math, I don't know why. I don't know if it's a Pareto principle thing, but the math tends to stay the same. So if I'm reaching out to 100 qualified prospects, I'm going to expect to close maybe 5 to 10% of them. But you need to reach out to 100. So if you want 10 $10,000 clients, you've got to reach out to 100 of those potential leads. But you don't know if those 100 leads are the exact potential lead. So you probably need to shoot for 1,000. And so it's just math. And when you look at it like that, it really takes a lot of the emotion and the unhelpful energy out of it. When we do our launches, I look at how many people are potentially promoting our program alongside of us and how much are we spending on ads. I've got that big number there. And then we invite them typically to a webinar or a series of webinars. So let's say we have 10,000 people and we're like, okay, how many of them are opening our emails? Let's just say 20%. Let's just make the math easy. So 2,000 people are now finding out about our webinar. How many are interested in the webinar? Maybe let's say 50%. So now we have a list of 1,000 people in the webinar. But how many of them actually show up to the webinar? Maybe 30 to 40% if we're really, really nailing it. So now we've only got 300 or 400 people on our webinar. And if we're shooting for a sales goal, and we typically said we get 10%, we're pretty good. Well, now we got our numbers, right? Now, those can fluctuate. We've typically done way better than 10% on a sales call rate. But you can see here how that big number whittles down every step of the funnel. And that's why you have to be consistent in creating content. If you want to take things to another level, running paid ads, getting on podcasts, getting on YouTube, where content lives forever. instead of just organic social media posts that go to die after a couple days. And so we just want to frame that out for you. It takes a little bit of a different mindset shift. And
Yeah.
man, for me, I'm an accurate guy. I like being accurate. I like being precise. If I had the skills and was in the military in any way, shape, or form, I'd be a sniper.
Hmm.
I'd feel good about I make that shot. I nail it 90% of the time, but that's not how business is. When you're
Yeah.
talking about lead gen and we're talking about the simple math, you've essentially got to shoot for 10 times higher than the actual number of clients that you want.
So one caveat I'll say here to people that are listening, maybe you're in that starter kind of area and now you're freaked out. You're like, did Mike just say 20,000? Like, I'm at zero. How in the world I get to? So we do want to make it clear because this is pointing to the example we said earlier. When you get started, so remember what these systems we're talking about, they're meant for scale. That's why you need the system, right? But you have an email address and you have a phone. Okay. So if you have an offer, those people we just worked on their offers, they're working on all of those other pieces. So at its most basic form, if you have an offer and you know other people, which you do, you can make your first sale and even first several sales potentially, depending on your offer and your experience, you might make it a whole year, right? Just by who do I know that I can go talk to this about? And who do they know that they could refer to me? So it can be as simple as now that I have my offer, I can reach out. Mike and I have taught this before too, like text message, right? Who do you know that's already on your phone? Email, like not your email MailChimp thing, your like Gmail account. Who have you emailed in the last 60 days? You're like, oh yeah, they might want to do this. Or somebody they know that they've mentioned to me before might know how to do this. So it can be as simple when you get started as I've got my offer. I'm going to old school it. I'm going to like reach out on a phone call, a text message, or an email to people that I know. And now that I have something to pitch, I'm confident that I could talk to them. So we don't want anybody to freak out. You can't stay there, likely. These, like we said, these systems are for scale, and you are going to want and need to scale at some point. But to get started, offer and then hit the pavement.
Absolutely. Hey, if you're interested in working with us or finding out more about You Are the Brand Academy, go to youarethebrandacademy.com. Again, this is a program for service-based professionals who want to grow their business by leveraging the power of their personal brand. If you want to stand out online, add another income stream, and eventually work your way out of this trading time for dollars, like add these other income streams, this is the perfect program. All the details are at youarethebrandacademy.com. We open it multiple times a year. We've shifted to a more accelerator model, sprint based model, where we're topically covering specific things that help you move forward. And all of these things stack on top of each other. And our students are loving it. They're making real progress. So that's super encouraging. And if you liked this episode, you're watching on YouTube, hit like, share it with somebody. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please hit subscribe. All of that helps us get word out about the channel. And if you're listening on the audio podcast, we appreciate you tuning in here. And if you haven't yet done so, please leave a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. You might be listening on Spotify, so feel free to share it with somebody. All of this really helps us get word out about the show. Robby, thanks for joining me today. This is always a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah.
we'll kick this again. So until next time, live your message, love your work, leave your mark on the world, and we will see you on the next episode.